imagine someone living, you know, a quiet, unassuming life right next door.
It's just completely normal seeming.
Exactly. Part of the community. But underneath it all, they're hiding this horrific, dark secret. A trail of disappearances just stretching over decades.
It's a chilling thought.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's precisely where we're starting today.
We're driving into Gary Ridgway.
Infamous as the Green River Killer. Yeah, one of the most, prolific serial killers in American history.
And it's not just the confirmed kills, which are staggering.
It's the huge number of unconfirmed victims, too.
Yeah.
And maybe the most disturbing part, he actually, relished that many would never be found.
Just awful.
So our mission for this deep dive is to sort of unpack the twisted path of Ridgway's life.
From his childhood, which was deeply unsettling,
to that chilling double life he led. And, understand how his reign of terror affected so many lives before he was finally caught.
we're pulling the key insights from the sources we've got here, trying to shed light on this really complex, horrifying case.
Okay, let's start at the beginning. Gary Ridgway's origins. Born Salt Lake City, Utah, 1949.
Right, post-war America, a time of, economic optimism, families trying to build things up.
But against that backdrop, Ridgway's own personal life was pretty tumultuous from the start.
Yeah, what's really fascinating here is how that national optimism didn't quite reach his family.
How so?
Well, economic pressures, trouble finding good housing in Salt Lake City, it pushed the Ridgways to move.
Okay.
They ended up relocating to the SeaTac area of Seattle, suburban, lots of jobs in transport, service industries.
Which is kind of ironic given what happens later.
Exactly. It's almost like the search for stability inadvertently put them right in the middle of where everything would unfold.
His home life there, it wasn't stable either, was it?
Far from it. The sources paint a really troubling picture. His mother, Mary, allegedly abusive, very domineering, degrading.
Especially towards him.
Yeah, picking on him constantly, particularly about struggling in school. And his dad, bus driver, was barely there. Work kept him away.
Leaving Mary pretty much in control.
Complete control and often damaging control, it seems. The psychological impact. Well, it was profound.
How did that manifest?
He developed these deeply disturbing sexual fantasies about his mother really early, like 14 or 15.
Wow.
And it wasn't just, seeing her sunbathe. The sources mention this incredibly bizarre, intrusive act, his mother washing his genitals when he wet the bed.
Into his teens.
Well into his teens. Psychologists suggest this was likely part of a bigger pattern of sexual contact, humiliation, something that fueled this incredible rage.
And powerlessness, maybe, which he later tried to flip.
Exactly, a perverse sense of violation he later inverted through violence.
And that rage escalated, didn't it? Beyond just fantasies.
Oh, definitely. He started fantasizing about actually murdering his mother, stabbing her in the chest, cutting her face.
It's chillingly similar, as the sources point out, to Ed Kemper. The whole mommy issues thing.
A terrifying parallel.
Yeah.
And you see this progression in his early behavior, too. It wasn't just thoughts. Well, it started with throwing rocks, first at windows, then at his own brother.
Okay, typical kid stuff escalating.
But then it jumped. Killing animals, birds, suffocating a cat, shooting puppies.
That's a huge red flag.
A classic, terrifying trajectory. Desensitization, testing boundaries, moving from objects to living things.
And it culminated in that incident when he was, 15 or 16?
Yeah, he actually stabbed another kid with a knife.
Not trying to kill him, though.
No, he said it was just to see how stabbing worked because, and this is the chilling part, he wanted to stab his own mother.
Wow. An unnerving glimpse into what was brewing.
Absolutely. The pathology was already developing.
So moving into his adult life, somehow Gary Ridgway builds this facade, almost impenetrable, right, for years.
It's quite remarkable in a disturbing way. He graduates high school in 1969. He's 20, gets married, first wife, Claudia Craig Burrows.
Joins the Navy, serves in Vietnam.
Right, on a supply ship. And it's apparently during his time ashore there in Vietnam that he develops this intense fixation on ladies of the night, as he put it.
So how did he manage it? Blending in so well, while having these incredibly dark desires simmering.
That's the core question, isn't it? He married 3 times. His third wife, Judith, they married in 1988.
And she defended him for a while.
For a significant time, yeah. Described their 17-year marriage as happy. It's just astounding. How do you think he compartmentalized it all?
It was hard to fathom. But the cracks were there, even if people didn't connect the dots at the time.
Like the arrests?
Exactly. 1980, arrested for choking a sex worker.
Yeah.
He wasn't charged, claimed self-defense.
Right.
Then again in 82, soliciting. And there were reports he was violent toward his second wife, Marcia. They divorced.
And it's believed the killing started right around then, after that 82 arrest.
It seems to be the timeline, yeah. Chilling.
And he actually used that normal life image, didn't he? Almost as a weapon.
How do you mean?
Well, while working as a truck painter, he played up the family man angle. He'd have his son Matthew's photo with his license.
Oh, right.
And toys on the dashboard of his truck. He used them to put potential victims at ease, basically saying, look, I'm a dad, nothing to be afraid of.
That's incredibly calculated, manipulative.
It speaks volumes about how well he understood trust and how to exploit it.
And his son, Matthew, this is from his second wife, Marcia, he described Gary as like a relaxed, present dad.
Taught him baseball, went to school events.
Yeah. Matthew was only in 4th or 5th grade when Gary was arrested. He just couldn't believe his dad was guilty at first.
That disconnect between the father he knew and the monster revealed.
It just shows the shocking depth of that double life, the complete wall between the crimes and his everyday existence. What does that reveal about his deception?
It really highlights something chilling about these high-functioning killers, their ability to project normalcy, even charm.
Mimicking empathy.
Exactly. Understanding social cues enough to fool even those closest to them. For Ridgway, the family man thing wasn't just a cover. It was an active tool for predation.
Exploiting the very trust that image implies.
A stark reminder of how darkness can hide right out in the open.
Okay, so let's get into the reign of terror itself. The summer of 1982, that's when the horror really starts to surface publicly.
Yeah, a truly gruesome pattern begins to emerge. Bodies of young women turning up in or near the Green River in King County, Washington.
And investigators realize
They've got a serial killer on their hands.
who are the first victims.
They were found pretty close together, laying bare just how active he was early on. Wendy Lee Caulfield, only 16. Deborah Lynn Bonner, 23, found really close to where Ridgway worked at a meatpacking plant.
Disturbing detail.
Very. Then Marcia Faye Chapman, 31, and Opal Charmaine Mills, also just 16.
All found near Kent.
Near Kent, yeah. And they seem to share a common abduction area, Pacific Highway South and SeaTac.
So an early pattern.
Yeah.
But he didn't stick to just dumping bodies in the Green River area, did he?
No, and that shows his calculation. Even as he escalated, he was thinking tactically. He kept the abduction zones fairly consistent. SeaTac, Pac Highway South, were his main hunting grounds. But he started varying the dump sites, scattering them across the state.
To confuse investigators. Avoid detection.
Precisely. He mostly targeted young women, often teens, seen as vulnerable. But his methods evolved to frustrate law enforcement.
The sheer range of dump sites is staggering when you look at it.
It really is. It shows how methodical, almost perverse he was. You had victims near SeaTac Airport like Giselle Lovewarn found with her hair dyed black, strangely.
Near baseball fields, too.
Yeah, bodies like Shondalia Summers and Cheryl Lee Wims. Cheryl disappeared on her birthday, tragically, and her sister also vanished, believed to be another victim.
This is heartbreaking.
Then there was Star Lake Road. 6 women found there between 83 and 85. Includes Terry Renee Milligan, who'd had a really tough life, and Alma Smith. Ridgway actually claimed he strangled her in his own house.
In his house.
Chilling, isn't it? He also used remote spots along major highways 18, I-90, 410.
Harder to find.
Much harder. Victims like Sinead Smith, who was hitchhiking. Roberta Hayes, a troubled teen, who was later featured in a documentary. Her remains were found years later, just skeletal.
And he even went out of state.
To make capture even tougher, yeah.
Yeah.
Marie Sherrill's body was found 200 miles away in Tigard, Oregon. Shows the extreme length he went to. Obsessive efforts to stay hidden.
Beyond just where he left them, he sometimes left these bizarre, horrifying signatures on the victims.
Yeah, the case of Caroline Christensen is particularly gruesome.
Tell us about that.
Found with a bag over her head, clothes on backward, one shoe on the wrong foot.
Oh, okay.
A raw sausage wrapped around her, a wine bottle in her hand, and 2 gutted fish placed neatly over her chest.
What is that? Is he just deliberately messing with the police?
It certainly seems like it. A deliberate attempt to mock, mislead. It reveals this sickening level of depravity, a kind of sadistic pleasure beyond the killing itself.
What do you think that says about his psychology?
Yeah.
That kind of ritual.
It points to this profound sadistic streak, not just in the killing, but in controlling the narrative afterwards, tormenting the investigators. It's like asserting dominance even after they're gone, believing he's smarter.
A twisted cat and mouse game.
Exactly. We see it in some serial offenders who get off on that chase.
It may be one of the absolute most horrifying things. Ridgway himself admitted this.
Which part?
picking up and killing a woman with his young son Matthew actually in the car with him.
Unbelievable.
He claimed his son didn't see the act itself, but just the fact that he could do that with his child right there. It just shows the seamlessness of that double life, the depth of the depravity. How does someone even reconcile that?
Well, for Ridgway, it likely wasn't about reconciliation in any normal sense. It's about a complete lack of empathy, this profound compartmentalization.
The violence was separate.
Completely separate in his mind from being a father, a role he probably viewed instrumentally anyway, maybe even as a prop for his facade.
It just underscores that total disconnect. His desires took absolute priority over everything.
Any moral compass, any paternal bond, just gone.
And the scale, it's just mind-boggling. At his peak, he was likely killing multiple times a week, maybe even multiple times a day sometimes.
It seems that way, and so many victims are still missing or only identified decades later, like Lorianne Razkotnik, ID'd just in December 2023.
His shadow just stretches on and on.
It really does.
So the investigation, it took forever, nearly 2 decades. It must have been incredibly frustrating.
Immensely frustrating. And Ridgway was actually on their radar pretty early on.
As early as 1983.
Yeah, in connection with Marie Malvar's disappearance, her boyfriend saw her get into a truck.
And found a similar truck near Ridgway's house later.
Exactly. But they just didn't have enough concrete evidence to hold him then.
A close call he slipped through.
A very close call. And what's fascinating is just how deceptive he was even then.
What did he admit later?
He said that during that 83 questioning, he deliberately stood against a fence to hide scratches Marie Malvar had given him while fighting back.
No way.
And then after the detectives left, he burned the scratches with battery acid to destroy the evidence.
Unbelievable cunning.
And he even gave a saliva sample in 1987. They collected it on gauze. But forensics back then just weren't advanced enough.
Wouldn't link him.
Not definitively. So he walked free for many more years, a testament to his slyness and, well, the limits of the science at the time.
Until the science caught up.
Yeah.
March 2001. That was the turning point.
Absolutely. New DNA techniques had come online, PCR, polymerase chain reaction, and STR, short tandem repeat tests.
What did those allow?
They allowed scientists to sequence tiny, tiny fragments of DNA, even from just a few sperm cells or, pubic hairs found at the crime scenes. It was a total game changer for cold cases.
And they went back to that 1987 sample.
They did. The crucial moment came when they compared DNA profiles from semen found on 3 early victims.
To the DNA from that gauze Ridgway chewed on back in 87.
And they matched. Bingo! November 30th, 2001. Nearly 20 years after the first known murder. The King County Sheriff's Office announces it to the world. The Green River Killer is caught.
Must have been a huge moment.
Huge. Not just an arrest, but a landmark moment for forensic science, showing its power.
So after the arrest, with the DNA evidence piling up, he eventually took a deal.
Yes, in June 2003. A plea deal. He agreed to plead guilty to all the murders he committed in King County.
In exchange for what?
Avoiding the death penalty.
A tough call for the prosecution, I imagine.
Very tough, but pragmatic. It meant definitively closing dozens of cases, getting answers, bringing some measure of, closure, even if it meant life in prison instead of execution.
And his confession, November 5th, 2003. That must have been chilling.
Utterly chilling. He pleaded guilty to 48 counts of aggravated first-degree murder. And he famously said,
I killed so many women, I have a hard time keeping them straight.
Just flat out stated it. His motive? Pure hatred for sex workers. Saw them as easy targets, people who wouldn't be missed, wouldn't be reported. He killed most in his house or his truck. Stole jewelry, clothes to make identification harder, and then the detail about placing bodies in clusters.
Using them as landmarks.
Yeah, that he'd drive past. Revisiting his horrific work, it just showed the depth of his pathology and that perverse meticulousness.
Sentencing was December 18th, 2003. 48 consecutive life sentences.
Right, and that day was powerful, very emotional. The victims' families got to speak directly to him.
Give their impact statements. Share their pain, their loss.
And Ridgway just sat there, stone-faced through most of it.
Sitting stone-faced through all that. It's hard to wrap your head around. Do you think those statements even registered with someone like him, given the apparent lack of remorse?
It's hard to say definitively, but for someone so narcissistic, so lacking in empathy, probably not in the way we'd expect, he likely saw it as just part of the process, another performance.
But for the families?
For the families, it was crucial. Reclaiming some power, ensuring their voices, their loved ones' stories were heard. A public accounting, regardless of his reaction.
And the story didn't quite end there, did it?
No. He was charged with a 49th murder, Rebecca Marrero, way back in 2011, years after the initial conviction.
And victims are still being identified, like Lori Ann Potnick in late 2023.
Exactly. It just highlights the unending impact, the sheer scale of his crimes. That shadow still lingers.
You know, his influence on pop culture is pretty undeniable, too. It's strange.
It is. You see it in art, like that Phil Hansen portrait made of victim photos.
Right, 11,792 photos.
And countless documentaries, films, books, even music. That 80s grunge band, Green River, named after him, writing lyrics from his perspective.
It's a morbid fascination. And wasn't it Ted Bundy who even offered some insights?
Yeah, while Bundy was on death row, he speculated about the Green River killer, predicted he'd revisit his dump sites, things like that.
Why do you think this case, specifically, grips the public imagination so strongly, even now?
I think it taps into that really primal fear, doesn't it? The idea that true evil can walk among us, looking completely ordinary.
A monster next door?
Exactly. Ridgway's mundane life, his careful planning, the sheer number of victims, it makes him this terrifying example of human depravity. It challenges our assumptions about what a monster looks like.
And the fact that it took so long, that victims are still being found.
It keeps it chillingly relevant, yeah.
So the story of Gary Ridgway really leaves us thinking about that duality, doesn't it? The normal man, husband, father, and the unimaginable horror hidden beneath.
That ability to hide in plain sight is just deeply chilling.
And it connects to a bigger picture, unfortunately.
Yeah, that broader, unsettling reality. The FBI estimates, 25 to 50 active serial killers in the U.S. at any given time?
That many.
That's the estimate. And some within the Bureau believe a significant number might be long-haul truck drivers.
Because of the mobility, the anonymity.
Precisely. It's a sobering thought about dangers we might not see.
So the Green River Killer's story, it makes you wonder not just about the victims we know, but about all the untold stories, the unidentified cases still out there. It forces you to confront that chilling reality darkness hiding right there in the everyday. And maybe the constant challenge of figuring out who to trust.
It's a potent reminder, isn't it? Understanding the shadows helps us appreciate the light.
And to always stay aware.